Have you guys both seen Cabin in the Woods?
Oh, I have. I really liked that movie.
Yeah, it did. I like his voice is like.
Is it a horror film?
Read it.
Yeah, kind of.
Read it out loud. What?
Yeah. Yeah, dude. The fucking ending of that movie made my day. Like, I was so unimpressed with it throughout the first half, but like,
oh,
yeah,
really?
Yeah,
I loved I loved it from beginning to end. It was awesome.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it, but it was just kind of like, okay, it's a horror movie. I got it. It wasn't anything special, but you know what I'm talking about. Once the revelations start to occur.
Oh, okay. By ending, you mean the second half, not the ending.
The second half, not the ending. Right. The second half of the movie, which it was just, fine. And like most people would think, it's a little bit too much cheese. And I'm like, fuck that. It's amazing. I loved it. It was fucking great. But yeah, in other words, see that movie if you haven't. Sit through the whole goddamn thing.
The next
is it super gross?
The next time I'm like a guest at a house that's religious, and they're like saying grace, and they invite, like, oh, let's let the guests say grace. They fucked up big time, because I'm gonna offer the same prayer. I'll be like, this we offer in humility and fear, for the blessed peace of your eternal slumber.
I've never thought to do anything like that, which alarms.
Is it super graphic, or is it like cheesy old fashioned horror movie?
Semi-graphic, I'd say.
Yeah, gore wise,
it's pure gore porn. It's just
no.
I mean, so you haven't seen it? You said?
Well, I don't tend to watch horror movies because I don't like the gory stuff. I'm just not a fan.
This is a kind of a parody of horror movies. I'd recommend that movie to anyone. It's damn good.
Yeah, like there's some gory shit in it, but it's not. It's like Noja said, it's not just completely doesn't revolve around.
The gore is not the point of the movie.
Right.
Yeah, if it's like Freddy, I'm fine. If it's like what's that one with the stupid fucking guy that kidnaps people and puts them in death traps?
ISIS?
Oh, Saw. No, he's not ISIS. Saw. Saw's just
Saw is too much for me. I'm not interested in that level of gore. Can't do it.
I really don't know what to say then. Like again, like the whole movie isn't just that kind of shit.
Yeah, well, I mean, Saw was basically that was the entire point of Saw.
It was the whole
film,
it was
super graphic. Yeah. As long as there's some storyline, I can handle it.
There's definitely some storyline for sure, but
so what should we name this character? The robot.
Cunt.
Lena Dunham.
No, there you go, Lena Dunham. I like that.
Have another
Same
Lena
thing.
Dunham.
That's way better than my idea.
It wasn't my idea either. It was just that's what he named one of the whatever the fuck it was in COC. I think like slave girls we had or some shit. Oh yeah, definitely with the three, absolutely.
Wow. Speak. All right, that takes me back. That's old internet.
There you go. L3 N4.
I love how that is only done ironically now. That's fucking funny to me. Like where the internet is that old. That can be done.
There's probably people watching this that don't even know what that is.
I wish that someone would do a science fiction thing that really took into account the impact that internet culture is going to have on the future. It's just like someone's like supposed to be at their science station on a ship, and really they're just like they like replace the desktop with porn, and they're just like all this meme humor.
Yeah. Now, like this is my area of one of my many areas of ignorance. Sci-fi. I've never really been heavy into sci-fi. I don't get into a lot of it, like other than like Philip K. Dick novels. That's it.
I wonder if the people who created LeetSpeak thought that it was like the future and everyone would be doing it.
I don't know, man. I don't know. It's
Oh man, a really good sci-fi fantasy novel series is I think it's S.M. Stirling. Mm-hmm. I forget the name of the series, but it's essentially like what would happen if gunpowder, electricity, and gasoline stopped working.
Stopped working.
Okay.
Like just didn't function anymore.
Suddenly the chemistry of it changed, and it no longer does what it
did
before.
Yeah. Like so, you light gunpowder on fire, and it just slowly burns. Or gasoline, it slowly burns more like oil in a lantern, as opposed to combusting. And electricity just doesn't generate anymore.
So did they give a reason for that change?
I think they eventually do. It's like some sort of weird, like, it's like a tech thing.
So it was actually something
quantum tech. Somebody tried to do quantum tech.
And they fucked up, I guess.
Yeah, Dies the Fire, I think is the first.
You know what I'd like to do? I'd like to see... I'd like to see Larry David make a science fiction series that was like a parody of Star Trek, and I'd like to see him cast himself as the captain. So it'll be like Schlemiels in space.
I fucking love everything about Larry David. I'd like to see him do anything.
Yeah, exactly. Have you seen him do his?
I'd like to see Larry David host a fucking reality show on the Food Network.
Yeah, exactly.
I'd like to see him do. Yeah.
I wish he was running for president as his what is it, Bernie Sanders impression.
Bernie Sanders.
I would never vote for Bernie Sanders, but I would vote for Larry David as Bernie Sanders. I think he'd be an amazing president.
Yeah, Bernie Sanders started out like really like interestingly like socialist and stuff. And then, like, he's sort of become a communist over the campaign.
Yeah, that's the thing is so many people try to softball his bullshit, right? But if you look at the statements he's made in the past, he's a full blown fucking commie, right? And he really is. But they're like, no, he's really more like a social democrat, like you'd find in a moderate party in Norway. Bull fucking shit. Bull fucking shit. I mean, let's face it.
I think he got into bed with the SJWs.
Well, yeah. What I was saying is in a country like this, where it's like socialism. People are allergic to the word, whether they know what it means or not, right? People don't even identify as any kind of socialist or Marxist or whatever, unless they're fringe. They just don't. You know what I mean? It's just,
but this country's been socialist since the New Deal.
What's that?
Since FDR introduced the New Deal, this country has had socialism.
Well, the thing is, it's not black and white. And what's weird is so many people, everyone uses these terms differently, right? Everyone uses these terms differently, and it makes it impossible to have discussion because it's like arguing religion. It's like everyone thinks they're using one definition.
Well, also, why does everyone seems to think that whatever people identify as, they don't want to identify it as that thing openly? Like, there's this whole idea that everyone's political party is a big fucking or their real affiliation is a big fucking secret. Oh, did you know he's really a socialist? Or did you know he's really a communist? It's like, dude, enough. Like, okay, like, some people that have political ideologies they're aligned with a certain idea politically. They just say that shit. Yeah. You know that, right?
Yeah.
Not everybody's out to, like, I understand that in politics you fucking bullshit. Yeah, I get it. But dude, like, at some point, like, why wouldn't the person who is the thing that you say they are just say they're that thing? Now, we're not talking about, like, like some sort of fucking, like, openly racist dude or something or anything like that. Just like a run-of-the-mill socialist, for example. Like, why wouldn't you just say,
Yeah, well,
I don't know.
The thing is, like, okay, like I said, everybody, especially when you use socialism becomes such a nebulous word because everyone seems to be working with a different idea of what it would look like, right? Or what it was originally theorized to be. But like what you were saying, how people play these games with labels and are afraid of certain labels. It reminds me of this movie I saw that had the guy from Breaking Bad, and he wrote movies, Trumbo, right? And I don't know if you guys have seen that, but it showed the what was it? The trials, the scaring the Reds out of Hollywood. What was the guy's name that led those?
McCarthy.
Yeah, McCarthy. Yeah, the McCarthy trials.
Yeah, McCarthy.
And they'd be like, it's like, are you or have you ever been a member of the Communist Party? And they'd be like, I refuse to answer, and I'm going to be a complete fucking smartass in front of Congress. It's like, what's the fucking point of that? Why didn't you just say, yeah, and I think they make some good points, or yeah, I used to be a member, but then they went too far, and now I'm one of the, I'm one of you now, and I can. I mean, what was the fucking point of that, other than some?
Well, it's because they were actually like blacklisting people so that they couldn't find jobs.
Right.
So, like, if you were a Hollywood
that's gonna happen
person,
anyways.
you wouldn't get
And
cast
so-
anymore. if you
Right,
said
like-
that.
if you're a hostile kind of dude, aren't they just going to label you that way anyway? Like, it's kind of.
Yeah.
It's like what's the? It's like here we're gonna hand out pamphlets for communism, but then when put on the spot, we'll say, "Oh, I don't know what communism. What's that?" I mean, I have no respect for that. It's like unless they're gonna put you in front of a fucking firing squad, right? It's like just take a stand and
Right.
say, "Yeah." I mean, it's just say, "Yeah, I was," or "Yeah, I am," and here's why. It's like that was the time that you could have said, "Okay, yeah."
Oh, and by the way, if you're not willing to get fired or lose your job or have some sort of negative, then shut the fuck up.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
Quit. All right, you have an unpopular political opinion.
Yeah.
Not even unpopular. You have a political opinion that puts your livelihood at risk. You knew that when you started fucking putting that shit under people's windshield wipers.
yeah.
Dude, you knew you were going to draw some attention. Either fucking own it or just shut the fuck up from the
Yeah.
from the get-go.
Step up or step up or just be quiet.
Right, yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that anyone who shut the fuck up was some kind of pussy. I'd be like, look, they're practical. They don't want to lose their job. They got a kid to feed. Shut the
Oh, yeah.
And is it right that they have to? No, it's not right that they shut the fuck up. But it's smart. It's practical. It makes sense. Like, don't pretend like you're surprised when you get shit on when you reveal like this really unpopular political affiliation. Like, oh, what a shock.
I think it was Steven Crowder. I'm not sure if I remember exactly who it was, but they were doing like this big response to a guy who was talking about, communism is a terrible idea, but it makes some really valid criticisms of capitalism. And they proceeded to like list out the criticisms that communism has for capitalism. And then they also decided to like take it a step further and sort of like pimp communism at the same time.
Yeah.
And so this guy was responding to it and saying like, oh no, the communism is totally invalid. None of the criticisms are correct, because he used all of the guy's conclusions and ignored the actual criticisms of like, well, there's corruption and stuff like that. And it's like,
ridiculous.
just who gives a fuck? Like, is it really the worst thing in the world that somebody wants communism? They're usually such a fringe fucking group.
And like we already covered, they're not going to survive. They're not going to survive. They can't make a splint.
Yeah.
They can't.
Well,
I mean,
and
it's like
if
the
don't let
communists we're
somebody
talking
talk
about. They can
about
never make a.
something.
Oh, dude, the fucking guy who originally. Oh, this is such fucking bullshit. This shows you how like young political radicals, how full of shit that their heads are. The guy who originally asked me to do the gin and tonic show back in the day, right?
Mhm.
He was going to university and he just suddenly had this change of political and other mindsets, and he became like a full-blown communist, right? Self-described, not socialist, not social democrat, self-described communist, right? Deletes the vast majority of the videos we did on the show, which for those of you who don't know, who are watching this, way back in the day, I actually hosted a discussion program focused on Islam in the Middle East, right? Because that's how stupid I am, right?
Hey, it was a good show.
I thought they were
I
interesting.
used
It
to turn
was
up
nice
and
to
kick
hear
butts with
dialogue.
y'all.
Stabby, I didn't know you'd watched it. I thought didn't become acquainted with you until after it was gone.
I think I found like a few episodes. There was like a place that had like maybe 20 or 30 episodes, and like it really only had, I think, maybe 10 with you or something like that. It really wasn't a lot.
Yeah, because I left. I got tired of doing it, and but anyway,
Well, they
so
kept getting super aggressive. Yeah.
He approaches me originally to do the show, right? And I host the show for a long time, and then later on I say, hey, you know what? I'm thinking about doing a thing where we make a YouTube series where we just study Quranic Arabic, because so many people are talking about things like this. It's like, do people want like a straight vanilla, no criticism, no humor, just a straight up analysis of what is it actually like, how does it differ, this, and then work out, read the Quran in Arabic and just show people from a linguistic standpoint what people are talking about, and whether certain there would be some critique technically, because I would be looking at apologist arguments and saying, look, regardless of what you think about all these other issues that people are passionate about, this apologist is telling a bald-faced lie in this instance. They know that Arabic doesn't have this feature or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And he said, well, I don't know if I'd feel comfortable, because you have something about my oh, it's been so long. This conversation so long ago, but he basically said that I was too inflammatory or some bullshit like that. And I thought, you've got to be fucking kidding me, right? You got to be fucking kidding. But he wrote a couple things to me that made it sound like I was this one issue fanatic who was obsessed with Islam and bashing it. I thought, look, asshole, I don't ever think about that shit now that I never thought about that shit before I started the show. I never thought about that shit, well, not for the most part, after I stopped doing the show. It was your pet issue. Your pet issue. You were so obsessive with it, and then I went on and reined in your obsession and said, okay, let's just calm down and try to look at these situations from a slightly less passionate angle and actually learn and shit. But I mean, it was so ridiculous. It's like he projected all of his own zeal onto me and created this completely false past where I was the one issue fanatic and not him. But I don't know. You're aware of Klingshore's past body of work, right, Sarhan?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, he just ate.
Klingshore is who you're talking about?
What's it? Yeah, it's Klingshore. Yeah. So he just ate, slept, and breathed Islam and studying Islam and critiquing Islam and blah blah blah. Everything is Islam, right? But
Absolutely.
then like he just,
I remember that vividly. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, I'd stop doing the show and I'd be like, okay, take care, guys. See you in 2 weeks, and I wouldn't think about Islam if I could help it at all, for my own fucking sanity
shit.
for the next two. But yeah, it's like he created this weird thing, and then so he does this bizarre turn and says, hey guys, now I'm a communist, and like just completely jettisons any seeming interest in Islam, and even because starts to repeat Muslim apologist talking points, because there's this weird alliance. There's this weird alliance where like communists and other kind of radically striped socialists see Islamists or Islam itself or whatever as this unlikely ally, because they
because of the way they do
like
jihad.
The enemy of your enemy is your friend, and both of those spheres of thought are radically opposed to the establishment.
There's this whole thing. There's this whole thing going on now where the people who sort of harp on Islam are getting sort of like harped on by people. And look, here's like, and people do this thing like you described it, Clean Shore, you're obsessed with this, or you won't stop talking about it. Here's where obsession or not necessarily obsession with Islam. Nobody is obsessed with Islam other than Muslims, okay? Here's the thing. Those are the people that are obsessed with Islam. Here's the thing. Here's what gets my attention. When I notice something wrong with a particular ideology, be it religious, political, or whatever, and I point it out, the reaction to my pointing it out is what I become interested or not interested in. So, if I point out that this particular idea espoused by this particular group of Muslims is fucking stupid, and everyone shits their pants and throws a fit, then I get more interested in that.
Yeah.
Because I just criticized something demonstrably destructive, harmful, and stupid, and you're shitting your pants. So yes, now we have to have this entire separate conversation about why you're shitting your pants. Right? Why are you having a fit about that? So now we're doing this, and then you're looking at me going, well, just lay off. Why are you so obsessed with Islam? I'm like, dude, when I mentioned it, you fucking threw yourself back and started kicking your feet. Now I'm interested. That's weird. Why are you doing that? And why the fuck does this matter so much to you? So yeah, and it does interest the fuck out of me that I can say whatever the fuck I want about Christians. Literally, I could just like sit down and conjure up. I guarantee, like, if I just wrote the shit down, I was like, I'm gonna write down 8 sentences about Christians that are sort of vile and rude, and they're really generalized and fucking aimed at anybody and really shitty things to say. And I'm gonna say them on YouTube. And then I'm gonna wait 7 months, and I'm gonna say the exact same verbatim statements about Islam and see the difference in reactions. Or we're going to fucking all sit around and pretend like there's no bias or nobody fucking treats that particular ideology differently or they're more afraid to criticize it. And I'm saying that because you are. Because you are more afraid to criticize it. I don't know why, I haven't gotten to the bottom of that one yet.